happy to speak in this bill, although I'm very perplexed about the manner in which it's here and arriving at here as a result of a Supreme Court judgment. But why in the 11th hour, 11th and a half hour of the Dáil term? And what's more concerning is the fact that you have said, well, not you, Minister, and I have no disrespect to you, I've worked with you for years, but where are the planning ministers, the environment ministers? I don't know if your brief covers it, maybe it does. I thought it was education, because they could do with an education on how to treat this House. We're elected here to make and consider legislation and put amendments. And the Minister has stated that they're going to bring forward government amendments on top of this next week. And where's the time to discuss them? We don't know what they are. So this the debate today could be actually void, empty, because they're going to bring forward government amendments. I never see a debate of it. And I'm here nearly 15 years, or more than 15 years, and it's just shocking. As I said, rushing this, we have 19 pieces of legislation came before us in the last number of weeks in this House. And we had only half that, no, 12 to be fair, during the year or before that. So, and this is a pattern that has crept in, and the Council here, and this came up this morning at Business Committee, and it's not right. Because it seems to be a carefully laid out plan, because none of your backbenchers are coming in. I can appreciate Deputy Ledden is here, but legislation during this week, not a backbencher from Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or Greens spoke on them. So as if to say, let it off, let the opposition puff and blow and huff and puff and bring the House down, and we'll pass this anyway. And you couldn't, being a whip of a group, you couldn't watch it, because this is speakers, and they're not turning up to speak. And then they're coming out, they don't have time. So there's huge issues in planning. And the last Concola is gone, and I appreciate that, but she has issues, and I differ fundamentally with her around the area of Antashka. Now, Antashka did great work in the schools and the green flags and everything else, and did some good work environmentally as well. But I resent, and I raise it in this floor, the way they treated an industry in South Kilkenny. Thankfully, this was turned last week after several court challenges by Antashka. Now, I have no problem with them and people taking the right to court challenge either, but when they really, and the Taoiseach said here to me one day, they have to limit the number of judicial reviews, and we really have to, because they had no issue with the plant, or the emissions, or the grant of the, as I said, the EPA licence or anything else, but they had an issue with the cow herd. How weird is that the building itself, pristine plant, a cheese-making plant, ready market for Dutch investors, and we almost lost it. And meanwhile, we were ferrying last summer and this summer, and the summer before, milk from South Kilkenny, Tipperary, my area, and indeed all of Tipperary and other counties, up to Strathroy and Derry and everything else, because we couldn't cope with it below. And what about the CO2 levels there and the emissions from the trucks? How narrow-minded and how perverse the members of Antashka. We met with them, Deputy Collins and myself and my colleagues, and we got nothing but disdain. And we would have a follow-up meeting, and we never had it. So they need to be reined in, and all these government NGOs need to be reined in. As a result of a PQ recently by Deputy Carl Nolan, there's 36,000 NGOs costing $5.5 billion annually. $5.5 billion of taxpayers' money. What wouldn't that do now for the back to school or to lessen the crisis if half of it or 9/10 of it was there? They have mushroomed up all over the place, and they are effectively dictating policy to the government. And the governments and successive governments have given them too much hearing. That plant almost disappeared because of people who are in good jobs, mostly retired and big pensions, or in public jobs, living in nice places where they got planning themselves, but now they don't want anyone else to get planning. Talk about minding the fox minding the hen house, but I'm just saying they got planning in lucrative areas, my county in Ballina and lovely areas, and they object to anybody else getting it. It's a shocking situation. And we didn't meet the president, the boss of Antashka, Father McDonough, and we'd love to have met him, but we didn't meet him. But we met his colleagues there, but as I said, we might as well be talking to Petticoat Lewis and Bayloch. That's where I'd be. That's down in South Tipperary as well. So, as I said, I could be like other people here, this bill, and I'm shocked to think of the amendments. We don't know what you're going to bring in next week. And as usual, good man, Good, Monday. We don't even have a Sunday. I mean, we're here 4 days a week already, and only he is amped, obviously, but so, I know it is. I accept that, but we have some constituents to represent as well. I know you're hiding from them, but they'll find you. With the Pound Louis, extinctions and ballot, a busker, ballot, they'll find you. And you'll be fairly low down the list when they start marking that pencil. I can tell you, if you treat the people like this, if you treat them like that, you know what to expect. But we're treating the House badly too and poorly, and I'm not blaming you, but I'm blaming the government as a whole, the Cabinet. It's one piece of legislation after the next. Guillotine, guillotine, guillotine. 45 minutes for a very important piece of legislation last night. And the opposition want to be helpful and pass the likes of the situation regarding the special needs schools and all the rest of it. But this is just stretching it beyond. It's incredible that you could stretch it like this. Now, the quarries. I mean, listen, some quarries can do what they like, and the big conglomerates, and I won't mention any because, but everyone knows what I'm talking about, and they have. I was an admirer of Sean Quinn for decades because he brought competition to the market with ready-mix cement. And when I used to be travelling from Oman, Monaghan, on Monday morning, I go Lewa Fod, very early, I used to meet a couple of hundred trucks on the road, the green moving around. It was a pressure. It's a pity what happened. I don't know, got greedy or whatever happened, but he brought that badly needed competition because most of the small ready-mix owners in my county were wiped out by big conglomerates. Wiped out. Are we going to do the same now? The small quarry owners, if they have infringements and blatant infringements, yes, they have to operate within the law. But we're going to heavy-hand of the law down on top of them, and the big conglomerates can wheel out the best barristers and they can hold it up and hold it up. And this only happened in Ireland. This is international pattern, what's going on there. So I feel concerned for the jobs, for the self-employed quarry owners who have built up business over the years, maybe have 10, 20, up to 50 employees, and the costs of the electricity now to run the crushing plants, and the cost of fuel and the cost of everything else. And if they're gone, we'll have no competition, and then what will happen? We'll be in real trouble. As I said, someone asked, why do we need now an office of the planning regulator? Because the county development plans, and our one is going to be concluded on Monday, Tipperary, after 2.5 years. But sure, the whole power that the county councils had in the making of the plan and debate and discussion is overruled by the planning regulator, completely and utterly. So why do we need all these great and powerful positions created to take away the power from the democratically elected people on the councils? I mean, they had, and there's one power that they had, and the one power that we enjoy, I won't say that's power, but the one function that they had, and they dealt with it fairly and reasonably in most cases. There was obviously shenanigans going on in the past, and they were rooted out and had to be rooted out. But now it's gone to one man. He can do what he likes. He's not handsome with anyone. Oh yes, he looked to meet me, several times in my group, but we didn't meet him because we have fellas now, our people now in big comfortable chairs, nice plush offices with a brass plaque on the wall, and they wield the power, and they have the ear of government. Bord Penala, I know. I won't stray into it because there's an investigation going on, and there could be possible legal challenges and whatever. It's not functioning. I have a decision, just a simple decision in New Wayne County, Tipperary, very important for the people living there. There's a phone mast right up on top of our house, and the local areas are objecting, and rightly so, because there's plenty of other, right beside a listed building. Actually, this is in the curtilage of there's 3 or 4 listed buildings, including a relic, an old graveyard in the curtilage of this mast. But Bord Penala have actually postponed the decision deadline 3 times. And what have they done now? They've just abandoned the process. We haven't abandoned it, it's still in the system, but they have given no deadline now as to when they might make a decision. It's just they had one and they put it off for a month or two, and then off for a month or two, and a month or two, and now they're just vague. It's not even, there's no decision date on it, and that's happening with a lot of projects. So Bord Penala is not fit for purpose. There's too much political influence, as I think Deputy alluded to too, as far as I'm concerned there, and it's not transparent. And we'll see when all the dirty linen is washed, we'll see when the clothes are hanging out the line a good summer's day like today, they'll be fairly well stained. And the washing machine and Daz or whatever they call it, that they use now, I don't know, they've more gone away from Daz. I'm not saying I'm a bad homemaker now that I don't do some washing, but I'm not up to speed in the capsules that go in, the type of them that go into the washing machine. But it used to be surf and Daz, and when I was a Dino in the Town Crawler, I remember that as well. But look, we have a lot of cleaning up to do. So this bill is not fit for purpose, and as I said, it's coming emergency legislation long after the Supreme Court gave its judgment. And why the rush and not enough time? And I look forward, and I will sit and wait for you, give us some idea of the government amendments. Government amendments, imagine, that we haven't seen sight of. You'll have a briefing on Monday, and it's scheduled to come in next week and go to the Senate and back and forward and be passed. I never saw the like of it. Should the government lay out its amendments? How are we going to have time to put in our amendments and have studied the bill and studied whatever brief you're going to give us on Monday and have the resources to get them in? And anyway, they'll be ruled out of order. And if they won't be ruled out of order, we'll have the guillotine. It'll be coming down as like a big sharp tool to cut off all debates. So we need a re-examination. It's backwards we've gone as regards debating legislation and the opposition have an input. Way backwards we've gone. We have regressed there in my time in this stall, and we've really regressed in this stall. And then we get lectures from the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach that we're bringing in reports and bringing in private members' motions and whatever. It's our duty. Government weren't acting. And now all the actors have come together. It's like the Opera House reopened again, and we have all these 19 pieces of legislation that we're trying to get through in a mad panic. So rushed legislation, in my opinion, is bad legislation. Justice delayed is justice denied, and we're not dealing with the real issues, the elephant in the room, as I said. And I do think that people must have a right to object, certainly, but frivolous objections, and from NGOs and people like that who are well paid, of taxpayers' money, objecting to taxpayers who try to put a roof over their own head. It's just as bonkers as far as I'm concerned, and it's not fair on Sean Citizen and Mary Citizen and the people, and it's not what Cathal Brewer fought for and the people like that back in the War of Independence at Cancun, as you referred to this morning, and I want to be associated with your remarks as well.
Thank you very much.